Smarter Agent training today is about planning for the new year. It's our business planning session. We do this every year, and every year when I look through this, like I was telling you guys earlier, it kind of slaps me in the face because it's like, okay, I put this together and I still forget to do these things on a consistent basis if it's not in my face, right? And it's really important to do these things if we want to succeed and have momentum in this business. Without momentum, we're just starting over again every time we get into the office, which is no fun at all. So, what we're going to talk about today is wise counsel and planning, the foundation of a plan, the goals, the 7 areas of goals, why plan, and the purpose of a plan. Then we're going to get into the plan for your real estate business, marketing lead generation momentum, calendar plan, which is habits, and momentum. All right. As we start in, seeking wise counsel. Be sure you're receiving counsel from the right people, especially if you're allowing them into your inner circle of advisors and friends. You need to be objective and have discernment in this area of your life and whatever you're doing. If you should gain, this is what you want to gain, is stability in life and business, right? You want inward nourishment and refreshment from these folks. Fruitful and productivity on a consistent basis. We want to be fruitful. So we want to talk to people that are doing well in these areas, those that have strength and durability day to day in what they're doing, success without excuses, because everybody has excuses. We all have excuses. It was a bad lead. It was cold out. It was raining. Traffic was horrible. I just couldn't get up this morning. I had a headache. Okay. We all go through these things in our lives, right? This comes down to determination and what we want to do. But seeking wise counsel, this again is like it's the same thing with marriage. You want to go to people that are doing well in their marriage, not that just looks like they are on the surface. So the thing is, we need to really, really think about who is in charge of these various areas. Even in that, I'm going to go a step further with this because you need to have your discernment. And without discernment, you just kind of flounder around in life oftentimes. But if you have to also discern, even if you go to, let's talk about marriage counseling again, because it's like business counseling. But if you go to a marriage counselor and just because the area or the place where they work says that they're in charge of this, doesn't mean they're successful in their own relationships. So let's make sure again in business that we're talking to people that are truly successful. That and success doesn't just mean they're high producers. Success means they're covering all the various areas that we're going to talk about in our plans and our goals. Okay, we head into the new year. There's going to be many distractions. What do? Remember your why. Why am I doing this? Why do I need to do this? Why do I get out of bed every day? Is it just because the kids wake me up? Is it because the kids wouldn't let me sleep? These all these various things we go through, right? But we need our why, and the why in life is great too. If it's the family and the children, and that's our why. That's a huge why. And how do we support them effectively and do the things that we want to do in life? So we need a structural foundation for the year, and it should be based on written goals. I totally believe in writing down your goals. People that don't write down goals just don't have a target. And if we don't have a target, it's really hard to hit it. And if we make a target that's too small and it's easy to hit, then I don't know. To me, it just comes up with this thing in the back of my mind that goes slacker. Because the fact of the matter is, we need big goals and we need to try and hit those goals and have fun working to hit them. So we need to just stop and think before we begin, right? It's a huge part most people don't take the time to do, which is just stop and think. The other day, I just went out to the beach and sat on a bench for a while. And I just had to really sit there and think about what are my goals. And you guys know I'm a believer. I'm sitting there going, Lord, show me a clear path. Show me what you have in mind for me, and help make it clear to me what I ought to be doing. And I think it's important that we do these things. So, what's your new year going to look like if you honor your commitments to yourself and others? Hmm. Isn't it interesting how this isn't just about you? Your goals need to be about others. And what we do, that's so much more important than a lot of folks in life are just looking at themselves and their goals or their family goals. But if it's about others, it gets really interesting. And on that note, I'm going to throw this one out there. I think one of our big goals ought to always be, how do we present the best customer experience, period, for everyone that comes to us, to our firm, to us for their needs. How do we make it to where it's been such a great experience? They want to tell all their friends about it, and they just can't believe they were treated so well. And heck, I didn't even buy through them, and they just stayed right on top of things and took care of stuff. Okay, so you honored them, they're going to honor you 9 times out of 10, actually more than that. But I think it's important to think about. So consider the fact that preparation and organization brings clarity and can eliminate stressors. And those stressors are just trespassers in your life and what you're doing. So your why brings you direction, right? Why plan? It creates confidence and it helps you to just remember the basics. So again, I think it's important to write out your plans and post to them where you see them. So preparation, pricing, promotion are all important basics. And this is in sales now, right? We have to be prepared. We need to know what the pricing is in our communities and what things cost to do our personal promotion, which is, to me, having a budget. So how do you differentiate yourself? You know, what's your USP? What's your universal sales proposition? That's what this is all about, guys. We need to have our own. And everybody goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm not. I just copy everything everybody else does." And it's like, okay, but what's your unique strengths? You know, and we've talked about these things before. For me, I think it's my construction background is a huge separator for me, and I really help people with that. And I know a lot of people say this, but the fact of the matter is, I truly care about other people, and I want to put them first. And they feel that the minute they start working with me. A lot of people don't believe it until they talk to me and work with me for a bit, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, you really do care." It's like, well, yeah, but people don't know that, even if they're told that, until you show them. So that's what we do. So separate yourself from the crowd with a purpose, and whatever that purpose may be in your life. Again, it can be built around the kids. It can be built around the adoption programs. There's so many things that we can build things around, right? Um, Whatever it may be in your life. It could even be a scuba diving crowd. Your kids are in band, so you're going to band all the time. You know, I use that one because that's what I did for so many years through the Lakewood Ranch Marching Band. It was insane. I enjoyed it. I really did. I mean, I worked my hiney off for them, but I really enjoyed it. And I got to be around my kids and the other kids, so I think you stay in touch that way too. But I still, to this day, get leads from clear back in early 2000s from marching bands here. And it's like, huh, that's pretty wild. And of course, I get them now from the church groups that I've been involved in for years too. Even though a lot of them didn't even know what I did because that's not why I go to church. But anyway, it helps you remember your value, education, and training. You need to know your own value. If you don't know your own value, how do you share it with others? Um, you have to value yourself. And your value can be your education and training, but it's also, again, who are you? So, purpose of a plan, right? So, now purpose. It's to motivate you, it's going to keep your priorities straight. You're going to develop your potential more when you have a purpose. Without having a purpose, which let's just say purpose slash goal, uh, you'll give your power to live in the present, and you're going to miss everything else that comes down the road because you don't have the long-term goals set up. How about a purpose will help elevate your progress? That's what it does. And this is all from John Maxwell, Leadership Promises. It's real. Business plan. It's time to plan. So let's talk about this. It's a multi-part plan. It always is, guys. We have our income goals. In my mind, as a business owner, we're all independent business owners here. Income goals comes to mind like immediately when I start thinking about business planning, right? Because again, it's business planning that I'm talking about. I want to know where I want to go and how do I get there. And typically for us, that comes down to how many listings, how many buyers are we working with to get to that. And again, a lot of that for me came from Gary Keller's books, which I think I've given darn near everybody copies of those. There's still a couple laying out here, but I just think it's a great read. So it's important for us to study those things, and it gives you objectives. And now, once you have objectives, you need to break them down into manageable tasks. A lot of people just say, "I'm going to write 1,000 letters this year." Okay, great. How many? How many a week? How many a day? And then you start attacking one thing at a time. And then you prioritize those things, whatever it may be. When I used to build homes, you've got to prioritize, right? Because if you don't prioritize and plan it over and over again because you're dealing with subcontractors. But anyway, if you don't plan it, the foundation, of course, has to go first, right? No, the excavation has to go first. The plumbing goes under there's just so many things that go into the process. And the same thing with our business that we need to make sure that we prioritize these things, manage them, and attack them one at a time. Because if you do attack them one at a time, all of a sudden you're turning around and you go, oh, that wasn't so huge after all. I got it done. If you don't, you make it a huge project at one time and it sinks you and you get exhausted and you don't want to do it. And it's like, oh my gosh. It's kind of like Leah doing Christmas cards for the office. Um, because she's hand cramping over there getting these things out for us, and I'm thankful that she did it. But that's a manageable task, but it's brutal the way it's done because it has to be done that way. Marketing and lead gen. It's a big part of our plan, right? We have to market, and the bottom line is people say that we're salespeople. We're lead generators. If we're not generating leads, we're out of business and or we have no business and we don't know why. Well, it's because you didn't have objectives to get to those things and you didn't do the steps and so on and so forth. Time block calendar. I know I harp on this all the time, but it's so huge. If you don't time block your schedules, your time just goes poof. It's kind of like getting $100 in your hand and $1 bills and you're just spending $1 bills. All of a sudden it's gone and you don't know what happened to it. Same thing happens with our time. All of a sudden, I find myself playing Scrabble game on my phone. I like Scrabble. But your time just goes boom, right? And one of those things. So if you're going to waste your time like that, you may as well wet a fishing line with your kids or do something that's going to be memorable. Otherwise, time block your schedules, period, for everything. And time blocking is available in the app files and our guides and scripts. Look in there, pull it out, and take a look at it. Okay. Refresh yourselves. These are things that's interesting to me too, that so often looking backwards is always easier, right? But to go, oh my gosh, we have this all in our app file system. All I have to do is boom, 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 boom in each area. So do it. Look at the app files again. Don't just say, hey, I mastered contracts. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to sell. Okay, that's great. But are you giving them a buyer's guide? Are you giving them a personalized seller's guide? Are you doing the step-by-step things that tells them how much you care and is showing them the customer service that's way up here compared to all of the competition out there that's just doing the bare bones minimum to get the deal done? If you get a listing, are you always following your marketing plan? If you're not, how are they going to tell others exactly what you're doing? Who cares if it's family and friends? And they're going, ah, you don't need to review that with me. I really want to because I want to manage your expectations. I really just want to show you exactly what I do, and it'll just take a few minutes. Is that all right? Ask permission. Who's going to tell you no? Some might say, we really don't need to know. It's like, okay, then here's a written copy of what you can expect from me. And you ought to read that over and let's get to work. That's fine too. You need to respect them. But I really go, can we please just take a couple minutes because it's important. Number of sales required to hit, number of closings required to hit your goals. This is an interesting thing for income goals, right? What's your income goal for the next 12 months? Let's not just make it to pay my bills. That's a sad goal because that says, hey, the kids want to go to the zoo. I can't afford it. Or you have to choose not to spend your money that way. I really wanted to take my wife out to dinner at a really nice restaurant for our anniversary, but all I really scheduled for was to pay the bills. Okay. How about commission earned per closing? What's the average? You've got to know these things. What's your average? Number of closings required to hit your income goal. Divide line one by line two, and you'll know how many, right? This is just number of sales required to hit my goal. Multiply line three by 0.25, and it's going to take you there. Number of listings required to close to hit my goal. Multiply by 0.75. This is saying, of course, that 3/4 of my business is from listings, 1/4 of my business is from buyers, and that should be our target goal. If you're just working with buyers, number one, it's easier. Buyers are easier because they can come and go. But you find them what they want, they buy, and you get a deal done and you walk away. But it's all about you and your efforts, and you're working for them now. And or heck, they may bring you a house and say, hey, this is the one I want. Okay, you lucked out. If you have listings, you are now a professional handholder. Everything falls on your shoulders. It can be a pain in the neck, and it's the best way to stay in business with what we do. And the fact of the matter, again, is if we're doing a listing and we present our marketing plan, they know what we're going to do. We have to do it. And it is a pay-to-play game again. You're going to have to spend money to usually do those items, but a whole lot of them are just your time. A whole lot of them are your time. And again, are you putting the packages together and giving them to them? So how many are going to be required? And my suggestion would be that you really shoot for the listings and get it moving forward. So if you list, you last. That's what I was just talking about. Good listing agents' income goals should be 75% listings sold, 25% sales. And that's a great goal. If it's 50-50, you're still fine. You're in business. And heck, let's face it, if it's 100% sales and you're hitting your numbers, you're hitting those numbers. But now, the way I would market that is I'm the guy with all the buyers. You want to list with me? I mean, there's a way to phrase these things, right? How about average percentage of listings taken that close during the listing period? In other words, you price them effectively. People listen to you because you're a professional. This is all you do all day, every day. They need to know that. This is all you do to support your family, and that's an important thing. Again, the reason I say that is we want to sell it within our listing period. Would I do a 90-day listing? If somebody prices the house spot on, absolutely I would. Otherwise, no, I want a 6-month listing, especially in our current environment for sales. Sales are typically taking longer. People are having more time to shop. Buyers are having more time. But I will tell you that more listings are coming on the market because a lot of sellers are going, I'm over it. Let's sell it. We know what we want to do. We waited for it. The interest rates come down enough, and they're looking at that. Even though they have a great rate now, they're willing to step. Okay, so let's help them do that. How about average percent of sales contracts written that will close? There's an interesting one. How many contracts are we writing that actually close compared to how many don't close? That's an easy number to run, right? Run that percentage. Number of sales contracts needed to write in the next 12 months now, because you know how many you're writing versus how many close. So if none of them close, that means you're probably not pushing your buyers enough on what is a realistic offer for the property they're interested in. And you've got to also then make a determination. If people don't want to listen to you, do you want to work with them? Or do you want to just spin your wheels? But on the other hand, depends on price point. Some are well worth hanging in there with. Heck, I think the longest buyer I worked with was over 4 years before I got them into a house. Knew what they wanted. It just took that long to find the right house. And then the offer actually got easy because it was exactly what they wanted. How about number of sales contracts needed to write in the next 12 months? Again, goes back to how many you close. Just divide line 4 by 7 as you put the last screen and this one together. Appointments needed to obtain one listing. How many appointments do you need? As a new agent, you'll need a lot more because you're not going to get them all. You might be competing against other folks that have been in the industry for a long time and have their verbiage and their spiel, their sales down properly and effectively. And if they can come across sounding so much more professional in what they're willing to do over you because you didn't plan right, you didn't pay attention to what's in our guides, and you didn't say, "Hey, here's exactly what I'll do for you," and what you want to do is dodge how many have you personally sold, how many has our office sold in this area, how many is going on here, and how many sales have occurred. Doesn't mean they have to be yours. There's ways of doing that, okay? So how many appointments do you need to obtain one listing? Number of contacts needed to obtain one listing. That's a biggie. Do I need to reach out to 10 people or do I need to reach out to 100? If you're reaching out to cold calls, you probably need to reach out to 100 to get a listing. It just is what it is. And why couldn't that just be a simple letter that you sit down and write and send out? And or if you know people that are moving in the neighborhood, write them a note and put it on their door. Stop and say hi, though. Don't be afraid to knock and say hey. And if they answer, hand them the note so they can read it later. But get your hand in theirs. So our objectives. Number of new listings I'll need to obtain within the next 12 months. Divide line 5 by line 6 above. Number of listing appointments needed annually. This is to hit your annual. Now we're multiplying line A by line 9 above. And if you guys need these things, we can print them off for you. It's no big deal. Number of listing appointments needed per month. Divide line B by 12, right? And this is kind of like going through one of the tax forms. It's divide this by this, multiply this by this, and it comes out with this. And before you know it, number of contacts needed to reach my listing goal, boom, I know what they are. I know what it is. So now that's my goal. How do I get these? I don't know. Are they expireds? Are they for sale by owners? Are they people we know? Is it our sphere of influence? We'd all love this to all be our sphere of influence, but that's not realistic in most new agents' lives. And it takes a while to build a sphere that's big enough that you don't need to reach outside of it. But then, of course, people stop growing, or they have a team, or they pass off some of those leads to others and take a chunk of it, right? So let's make that our goal. We have so many listings that we need to have help. Marketing lead generation plan. We need to be lead generators, which means we're marketers. Are we salespeople? Sure. But what part of sales is the most important? There's a reason why even in colleges, sales and marketing is the way it's grouped. Because for a sale, you have to market, or somebody else is marketing for you and giving you a lead. That's just depends on the firm and what you're doing, right? And then you've got to try and turn those leads into something which hopefully comes to, in a full commission scenario, a commission check. What marketing will you do to reach your goals and fulfill your plan? You're the only one that knows what you're willing to do for success. Track yourself and have determination. This is the biggest thing. You've got to have determination. Of course, we've got to have thick skin. I always say the armor of God. We got to be wearing it because if you're door knocking, you're going to get doors slammed in your face or, hey, I'm not interested. No, thanks. Man, I just got home. What do you people do? Wait until you see my truck pull in the driveway and run over here? Yes. So of course we did. But again, if you're door knocking, bring materials. Exactly. It's so fun. Yes, sir. Yep, that is it. I was watching. I have, that's right. I have binoculars. I'm focused. But bring materials, current data. Know if you're door knocking, you better know that community. Know what's sold. And if you don't know it off the top of your head, which is tough if it's a community that you don't work all the time, print off the sales, what's sold, what's active, what's pending, so that as you're talking to people, you can say, oh yeah, well that one's pending here. I've got it right here. And they'll be like, yeah, that one's sold for 987,000. It's like, no, actually, it's sold for 735,000. Well, that's not what they told me. I'm like, well, people want to impress other people sometimes with how well they did and didn't do, but this is just fact. So I like to go to numbers. Social media. Promote your listings, your city, yourself. And I don't say your city lightly. Things that you can do. This is huge. And this is an area where I don't do it enough. When I get in the run of it, I do it really well because I love to put out, hey, here's folks parasailing out at the beach. You can get a massage on the beach. Hey, look, the surf is crashing. Look how beautiful it is out here on Longboat Key. Today I'm on Anna Maria Island. Hey, look, I'm in Waterside. Can you believe how fast this community is growing, right? So those are the things that we need to put out there. And one of the coaches that I'm looking at and following some of his stuff personally right now is Ricky. I think his last name is pronounced Karath. Karath. Yep. And yeah, you were there for his one of his trainings too. But it's fantastic the way he also motivates, gives you ideas on things to do, your letter writing that you can do. And his big thing is after you've done those, the end of the day, do a social media post. And so he's got it time blocked. So I'm going to work out a new time block myself and get myself back in gear for next week on how I'm going to do all of these things, including we got into RedX and I got into RedX and I'm going to work expired listings that way for a bit and see what kind of leads that generates. I'm curious because if it's a good lead generator, I like to generate leads, I'll do it. But we have to manage ourselves too. So all these ideas that come at us, boom, 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 boom. Which ones are you going to do? What are you willing to do? If you're not willing to do it, why waste the money on buying into it? Okay, don't spend money where you're not going to do it. Videos and ads, those are always things we can do, right? Do a reel. Ads are more expensive. And the fact of the matter is, do the free stuff first. But then never hurts to do ads. I still do postcards. I know it's very old school, but it works. And it doesn't work that every now and then I'll get a call. But most of them are just, hey, I'm still here. Hey, everybody, I'm still here. And what happens in the areas where I do that is I'll have people refer other people to me. And the other folks got my postcard too, but they're at the trash can, the circular file going through their mail. And I get that. I do the same thing. Recycle, recycle, recycle. And however, one of your friends grabs your card and goes, hey, that's cool. Hey, Joe, are you moving? Did you call Kent? That's how that works. Okay. And it has worked very effectively for me like that. So networking. Networking's huge. Don't put this one to the wayside. This is clubs. I don't care if it's a scuba dive club, if it's a fishing club. Of course, you can wonder what I like to do. If it's a chess club, I don't know, whatever it may be. Okay, it's a kids club. Social groups. Being at those things is huge. Being there, just being present. You'll get leads. Being part of a band, marching band, even if you're loading trailers for them. Okay, you're there. People will recognize that. And at those kind of things, I totally think that the reason you're there is to say, hey, I'm Ken Ellermitz. I'm a realtor. It's what I do to support my wife and kids. But that's what used to be my line anyway. I don't really support my kids anymore. But I won't let them fall. But anyway, hey, save me. But right, but it works. Now, I disagree with people that say that's a reason to join a church. I don't go there in my brain because I have a belief structure that just doesn't go there. But fact of the matter is, if you're in a church, and for me, again, within the walls of the church is not where I talk about these things. But if I'm in a small group with people and other folks are sharing what they do, I'll share what I do. Of course, I'm proud of what I do. And not only that, if I'm not the one that gets that listing and helps that person that's in that group, and they end up going with somebody that I know is not a good person, it just really makes me feel bad. I blew it. I let them down. They don't even know I let them down. I know I let them down. And it's like, okay, we don't want that to happen. So, your sphere of influence, that's huge, right? Volunteering is what we were just talking about. But again, guys, app files, print blank forms, guide, personal marketing. Look at it, use it. That's what it's there for. And we all need to do this. And this is the time of year to refresh on these things. It depends on you. I need to print off hard copies and leave them laying where they're in my face. Oftentimes, if it's just in my computer, I may or may not get back to it because there's so much going on my computer. especially if you look at my home screen. Anyway, it's a mess, right, Leah? Leah loves it. So, calendar planning creates habits. So the big goal here is it's no different than meal planning. It creates a habit in your life of what you're going to eat, right? This is creating habits on how you're going to do your job. But you should track yourself at least for a week. I know I've told all you guys this over the years, but do it this week, do it next week, whichever one it may be, do it. Not just one day, it has to be every day for the week. And you can decide if it's every 15 minutes is too much for you, then make it every 30 minutes. If that's too much, maybe just once an hour. What'd you do? But if we do that and you look back, so often we'll go, holy crap, I didn't know I only worked 35 minutes today, but I was in the office all day. Uh-huh. But you are on the phone talking with friends, and you can try and convince yourself that you talked about real estate, but oftentimes it was, how's life? There's a place for that in what we do, right? We need to be involved in other people's lives, but we need to determine how we're going to do these things. When do you have the most energy? Mark that for yourself. Are you ready to meet others? What are your boundaries? What are your standards? How do you spend your time? This is what we're tracking. What lead generation items must be recurring to meet your goals? We've already talked about those things. And if you know what they are, you need to write them down and we need to put them in our time block so we remember them. Remember, if you erase those things too, this is lead generation. If you erase your lead generation for the day, you've got to replace it. And you can't make excuses to not do that or you don't have business. And here's the interesting thing in our business. But I'm working with a buyer. I've been with them all day. Okay, that's great. So now you're going to sell that buyer and you're out of business. Ain't. How about I'm working with that buyer, but I'm not starting until 11, and then I'm working with them maybe until 7 o'clock at night if they're really hot. Now I've got a ton of stuff I'm going to show them. What are you doing the first couple hours of the day? Those appointments should have been set the day before. You already know what you're doing. Reach out to others. Keep going. So set it up properly. Specific appointments must be entered and updated, right? We need to stay on top of them. This isn't really a to-do list, but it's a targeted usage of your time. So again, a time block can be lead generation. It's not, I'm calling this person, this person, this person, this person. You can have that, but your time block is not about that. Okay, so now we're not breaking it down into that. This is what this time is going to be used for. This is what this time is going to be used for. This is my lunch break, darn it. Okay, fair enough. Well, and or if you don't have business, you might want to eat at your desk. Or you might want to eat at a coffee shop if you have the finances to do it. Number one, coffee shops can break the bank in a hurry. Going out to eat can drain your finances like that. And all of a sudden you wonder why you can't afford to take a vacation or whatever. Going out to eat just is a hole that you can't refill. So again, targeted use of time is what this is about. Organize it, prioritize it, and then focus on it. But this is very important. And when this first came to mind for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, organize, prioritize, focus. It just stood out in my head so much. I wrote it on my whiteboard in there. It's still in there from a year ago or whatever. But it's just important because number one, if we're not organized, we're disorganized in our sales. People feel it right away. You're not using your systems. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. You need to prioritize those things and then focus on them, right? And focus on your customers. Be that, again, the best service they've ever gotten in their lives. They can't believe how much you care. Man, I even got a thank you note afterwards and a cookie or whatever it may be, right? Or I got a mug and a water jug from Elements Realty. How cool is that? I love this pen. Okay, but it's good. The other day, somebody sent me a picture of one of our water, whatever these things are, water bottle, that their staff had pulled out because they were looking for something to put flowers in, and it ended up being a vase that was sitting in their main area. I'm like, perfect. Nice. So outline on a piece of paper what you're going to do. Put it in your electronic calendar so it's in front of you daily. Make the categories broad, like we were talking about, and then daily you include your detailed items, right? And after the broad, then you make it the detailed list. Okay. But the detailed list is typically not going to be in your calendar. The detailed list is over here or in your notes, what your goals are, but your actual broad categories are what's over here. Again, it's right here. App files, print blank forms, checklists, go to dot board activity tracker, which I've talked about for years. But the funny part, even for me, is I'll start off the year using this, and somehow by the time it's, I don't know, late August, I don't have that running anymore. And even though I have it in my calendar, I have recurring things in my calendar. Yeah, yeah, it's just things we need to do. Okay. Momentum. What is momentum? What's it to you? What's it mean to you?
Excitement. When I get in, I don't have to think about my plan.
Okay.
It's just going.
Mm-hmm.
Like natural, just a natural flow. You're just starting to go.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
wheels are spinning.
Okay. There's where I'm at big time right there is that I've worked my system. I've tracked what I'm doing. I'm doing it well, and I'm doing it every day. And other people are now talking about me. By other people talking about me and passing on my name and referring me, the momentum starts to build. And all of a sudden you go from 0 sales to, okay, I didn't have any sales the last 3 months, but I just had 5 this month. And that happens in our business. The goal, of course, would be, can I just have 3 a month, please? 1 a month for a lot of people would really thrill them. You do 3 a month, God is good. Oh my goodness. But anyhow, these are goals, and it's that you have to have momentum to build to that. So here, momentum's created by continuous activity, not one and done. This isn't, I tried that, it didn't work, I'm not going to do it again. No. If we're recommending that you do it, there's only one reason I'd recommend you do something over and over again. And it's because we're trying to get you to have focused intensity over time. And it is doing the same things, even if they don't produce the first time, the second time, the 20th time, the 21st time, it might. It might happen for you on the first try. That's rare. It's really rare. Typically, it's on down the trail of doing the same things that you get results. Just like marketing and lead generation, marketing, putting out postcards. They get thrown away until somebody goes, "Oh yeah, I'm selling my house. Huh, I ought to call Chris. Look at this nice post online. I ought to call Daphne. That's right. Remember she put that door hanger on my door. I should call her. She's my neighbor." Right. That's the way it works. So consider this. If you stop working out for several weeks after doing it for months, you basically start over again. Oh boy, is this my classic. The pain and struggle starts all over again. I live in pain for working out. So it's no different in sales and marketing. Let's not live in pain. Let's do this every day. And it's great, of course, if we're doing our workouts every day too, and keeping ourselves in shape. But again, no difference in sales and marketing. You've got to do it every day. And don't get back into the pain and struggle because it's just no fun. And when we're just starting over again every time we come in, it's frustrating. It's like, I can't get anything to work. Okay, but are you doing it every day? Are you doing the things that we've outlined? So be excited. Push yourself to be excited. We have to tell ourselves to be excited. Hey, it's another day. I'm alive. I'm on the right side of the grass. Wahoo! My other thing that I was taught by Mary Gable water conditioners way back when I started selling those in high school. Look in the mirror. I'm alive. I'm awake, and I feel great. By the time you tell yourself that 3 times, it is actually funny because you find yourself smiling at yourself, going, "Okay, this is dumb, but perfect," and it works. So keep your momentum and focus your intensity, right? Put others first. If you don't reach those you could help, this is what I was talking about earlier. Another less qualified agent may end up performing poorly and represent them badly. They need you. But if you haven't done your job and reached out to them, and the other person that is a less qualified agent is out there busting their hump and knocking on every door in that community, they're going to get the lead. You know, what's the old line? Even a blind squirrel gets a nut. It's if you're digging for them every day, you're going to find them. So remember, each of these steps leads to small victories, which leads to meeting your goals. That's kind of blurry. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. The starting point. And that is a wrap on our business planning for 2024. Yay!